together.
Yeah, I think that I am totally convinced for myself, and this is just one man speaking, but I am totally convinced for myself that there is such a thing as reptile alien gods or reptile aliens. Not because David Icke says so, because I'm the one that told David Icke about it when I brought him here back in 1992. Let me finish. I brought David Icke to America back in 1992, and I sat with him and talked with him about the aliens and the reptile aliens, and I showed him all my documents on it, and he got interested in it, and today he's famous for talking about a subject that I told him about a long time ago. But I believe that there are reptile aliens here. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
What about these sons of God then?
No,
if they created us, then they're not reptiles.
No, but the point, as I made before, there are many different kinds of life forms out there, and maybe some of them have come here from other places in the universe who, on their planets and on their system, they were reptilian. And they have come here, like all the other different kinds of aliens that are coming here, and they're messing with us. It's just like a party, you know, and there's a big party, and they have party crashers. Gangs come in from other places that come into the party, and they're coming in and say, "Hey, these are y'all a bunch of young teenagers. We're grown men like a motorcycle gang," and they come in and take over everything, and take over the whole party and destroy everything.
What about them being carnivorous, and particularly with our children, all these missing children?
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a whole story behind that. I can take you right now to Coldwater Canyon and Mulholland Drive, where there are child sacrifices being done today in Studio City. I can take you to places. So they're still having human sacrifice in Los Angeles right now. I can take you to where they are. But just go and read Don Juan, where Don Juan, the Mexican shaman priest, said that there are aliens who look like us. In his book, Carlos Castaneda's books are very famous. But he said in his book that Don Juan, the Mexican spirit teacher, said that there are aliens who look like us, but they have been manipulating us and lying to us and tricking us, and they're very, very dark and evil. And they're manipulating the whole human race. And they have been from day one. And I thought to myself, reading that, well, that's what I'm saying, the same thing. What Don Juan was telling Carlos Castaneda is that we're being ruled by entities from somewhere else who have created us, and maybe there are good ones who have come from out there and who see us as a creation and who realize what's going on. They know who our creators are and what they're doing to us. So there may be good entities out there like us who want to help us to get out from under this silly nonsense. So we're not at war with government. We're at war with these Elohim, these ancient gods who've been manipulating the human race. I've had enough of them. We could turn on the lights, maybe? Yeah, we'll work on it. Anyway, I hope that you understand. I put this together very quickly because I only found out about this conference a couple of days before, about a week ago. So I put this presentation together very quickly. And I know it's very sporadic and kind of hard to follow, and I knew I was under the gun for time, so I was moving through it very quickly. But I'm telling you, there's no doubt in my mind from all the years that I have been able to talk with people in government and science and astronauts and medical people, in my mind, there's no doubt in my mind that we have been created. We are a test tube creation. Somebody has created us, and whoever that somebody is looks like us. So they have taken all those Neanderthal and the ancient hominid creatures, which the world is filled with them. We know they're there because we're finding them everywhere, but they don't look like us. So we are a special creation, which is why the Bible says in Genesis, the gods said, "Come, let us make man in our image, after our likeness." Because for being so great, he's not that great. A bunch of hairy people out there eating each other and living like animals. So let's take one of the females and procreate with her and see what comes out of a connection between the gods and the indigenous creatures here. So I don't think evolution is the question. It's intervention is the question. Not that we evolved, but somebody intervened in our natural evolution and came here and crossbred with the the indigenous creatures and created us. That's why one half of human is animalistic, other half is angelic. Because there is that part, like the Apostle Paul said, there's a war in our flesh between the man that we are and the man we want to be. That makes sense, because if we were like Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon man or these ancient hominid creatures, they lived by instinct alone. Just eat, sex, fight, whatever. But now we are a different creation. We have a part of the sons of God in us. So we can now design beautiful music, build televisions, and go to the moon and think about the stars and have theology, philosophies, all these, and the great arts and sciences. Where did all that come from? My God, they were crawling around caves not long ago. And we're walking on the moon with computers. So I'm saying that that's a part of us, is that part that the DNA that they put into the humans a long time ago and were kind of bringing us along. That's why we call even humans today are called cultures. You know, that's a particular culture. A culture is something on a test tube, you know what I mean? That you, yeah, so we are a culture. They have designed us. And whoever designed us, we look like them. And so in the Bible you can say, oh, well, they look like us. No, no, no. You look like them. They don't look like you. Why? Because they look like what you look like, where they came from. They look like what you look like now. So they have intervened in your evolution. And so therefore there's that inside of us is that desire to know wisdom, to know the stars, to know where we've come from. And at night, you look out into the stars, you know, ask a child 7 years old, where's God? He's out there. Well, that's right, he's out there. But I hate to tell you this, if God's out there, that means he's extraterrestrial. Because if he was here from Cleveland, Ohio, it would be terrestrial. But if God's out there, it means he's extraterrestrial. He's out there. And ask where angels come from. Where do angels come from? A child will tell you, they're out there. They come from out in heaven. Well, yeah, walk out at night, look into the sky. What are you looking at? Heaven. So if God is in heaven, yeah, he's out there in the stars. You'll say, yeah, I'll bet he's out there in the stars. No, he was out there in the stars. They are here. They live. They're here. And I am totally convinced that that is the case. We are being ruled by extraterrestrial intelligence. Whoever these people are who are running the earth, are highly advanced in science, and they're bringing us along. Little by little, they are mutating the species. They're mutating us. We used to be back in the 20s, just regular people, poor people working. Now we're getting sophisticated with computers and Hollywood, and we're moving now into the concept of procreating with the brain and the computer, going to the moon. It's a whole different kind of creature is being developed right now. By who? Somebody out there is messing with us. And so I'm saying what you need to do is take back your own humanity and no longer buy into any religious system, no cultural systems, none of this. Start thinking for yourself. Educate your mind. Where do things come from? Where do words come from? Where do these ideas and concepts come from? I'm not buying into anybody's religion, their governments, their systems of education, none of it. I don't buy any of it. For a long time I've been questioning where do we get our knowledge about anything? Somebody's manipulating us. This is why we have something called politically correct. You've got to understand, you've got to go to school and learn what you're supposed to so you can get a job and work and fit in with the society. I don't want to fit in with society. There's nothing about society I want to fit in with, period. I just want to have people start thinking for themselves and asking questions. When I was 9 years old, say it again?
No. Stay. He can take a break. Take a break yourself.
What did you say?
Let him take a break.
What happened when you were 9 years old?
Yes, continue, please.
When I was 9 years old, I was confirmed as a Catholic confirmation. And the nuns told us she said tomorrow at Sunday at church will be a confirmation ceremony, and the bishop is going to be here, and it's going to be a very important time for you children. And so after the confirmation service is over tomorrow night in church, the bishop might possibly ask you if you have any questions, because now that you're Catholic, the bishop may ask you if you have any questions. Now, if that happens, you do not ask any questions ever. You sit down and shut up. You don't have any questions. And so that's what I needed. So that night, after the confirmation was over, when the confirmation was over, the bishop did say, if you children have any questions, I'll try and answer them. So I stood up to make sure they damn well know who I am. I stood up and I said, yes, I have a question. And I'm 9 years old. And I said, my father works with torches like a welder. And I said, could I take a torch and turn up the fire on the torch and burn an angel? If there was an angel here, could I burn him and hurt him? And he says, what do you mean burn an angel? I said, if I had a torch, could I burn an angel? Would it hurt him? And he said, no, you couldn't hurt an angel. I said, why not? He said, well, fire is a physical thing. It takes wood or plastic or paper or something to burn. You can't burn an angel. And I said, why not? And he said, because angels are spirits. You can't burn a spirit. And I said, well, why am I concerned about going to hell where my spirit will burn forever and you can't burn a spirit? So the priest said, you? Yes, sit down and shut up. In front of everybody. But I already knew what was going on. I already realized that adults don't know any more about the world than kids. As a matter of fact, adults can learn a lot from listening to children. Adults have already got their whole little system and routine going that is nothing more than a manipulation that they've been taught in their colleges and schools. But talk to a child who's never had any of that crap in his mind, and they will ask all kinds of off-the-wall questions because they're seeing the real truth. So that's what I'm recommending humans do. Start waking up. Your brain is like a parachute. Don't work if it ain't open. So start using your mind and your brain and questioning everything, especially religion, especially government, and especially anytime someone is called an authority, because the word authority comes from author. So when they say, well, the authorities, there is no authority. My God is my authority. So I don't give a damn about authority. I don't care about government. I have no respect for religion. I got no respect for none of this whole stinking, dirty system that somebody has created above us and manipulating us. I, for one, want my humanity back, and I want to make my own decisions, and I don't care what Hollywood is putting out. I don't care what's required in service, in the services of this country. I don't care about any of this. I want to do my own thinking. I'll ask the questions, and I'll do my own research. And that is very serious, because now you're thought of as a revolutionary. And by God, that's what I am, and that's what I've always been. And I want to lead a revolution. And I want to lead a revolution, an intellectual, spiritual renaissance on this earth that causes people to say to the leaders of this world, no more. We're not buying it. From here on out, we're going to deal with ourselves. We're leaving you out. Church, we don't need the church. We don't need the synagogue. We don't need your government. And we sure as hell don't need the U.S. government. What we need is to get back ourselves in tune with that divine universal God force that's out there, because I'm telling you, that's where the power is. I've got a whole... Well, that's what I intend to do with my life. I'm just trying to wake people up. That's all I want to do. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, just one question. I saw a video called Ring of Power. They mentioned something that caught my attention. They basically said that the Queen of England was the most powerful human in the world.
I don't think that's true. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think the Queen has much power at all. I think she's just like anything else. She's a figurehead, just like Obama. He doesn't have any power over nothing.
Right, yes.
Got nothing. He's got no power over nothing. This is a white man's country. This is a white man's world. The white man from Europe dominates the whole planet. White men goes into any country and kill everybody, take over anything they want. This is a white man's country. It's a white man's world. I'm not bragging about it. I'm just telling you the fact of the matter. White people out of Europe have dominated Europe and Europe has dominated the world. And so England has manipulated and exploited the races, the peoples of the world. The white man has been using exploitation, commerce to manipulate and exploit the whole human race. So I cannot believe that some young black guy that walks in and he's going to take over the old white man's establishment on the earth. Ain't going to happen. No. They brought him in for some reason to make him look like a schmuck one of these days soon. But he is not in control. The men who are behind him is Zbigniew Brzezinski. You want to find out what's going on with Obama? Do some research on Zbigniew Brzezinski. Studied in Moscow. Pure Moscow communism. That's Zbigniew Brzezinski, and he's the brains behind Obama. Obama's just a front man. They get rid of him like they did Kennedy. Here's a very powerful man, John Kennedy. Everybody loved him. Handsome, debonair, president of the United States, wealthy, and they shot this guy in public, and nobody went to jail. Nobody's ever going to jail. Why? Because the powers that be that run this country will kill you. You think for 1 minute you're going to get out of line and be important in this country, they'll whack you so. As a matter of fact, the California state has a I don't know if you know this or not, but the mafia have their own license plates in California. Do you know that? Yeah. The mafia is given their own license plates by the California state government. I know because I've sat with the mob and talked with them. And they have their own license plates. I had a time, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, how government operates directly with the underworld. Right. And there is one and the same thing. We're talking money, we're talking power. But the governor, it would not look right if a governor goes out and has somebody killed. So they make a phone call and that's taken care of. And the government doesn't know nothing about it, but they get what they want. So in payment, the government makes a contract with the mob. We don't mess with your business. You don't mess with ours. You take care of things that we need to take care of. We take care of you. That's what's going on in California. The mob has their own license plates, and the mob has a business deals with the state of California to take care of all the dirty work for them. So as far as I'm concerned, and I've been told by FBI agents, I had an FBI agent call me in my office in Glendale and tell me, Jordan, we've been watching you for a long time. We know what you're doing. And as of this moment, this was quite a long time ago, about 12 years ago, but he said, as of this moment, the government, your government, does not consider you to be a threat yet. He said, but we're watching everything you do, everywhere you go, we're watching you. But we don't consider you to be a threat because people are hearing you, but they're not listening. So as long as people are hearing you, then you're all right. But when people start to listen to you, now that's different. Now we're talking politics. And so we'll have to take another look at you then. I have had federal agents talking to me about what I do. I've had FBI people talking to me about what I do. And I've been threatened by federal government. So I know what they can do, and I respect them because they will kill you. In this country, you can be killed. If you know something you're not supposed to know, or if you're talking about subjects you're not supposed to talk about, they will kill you. Now, first of all, they would prefer just putting you in jail, finding some misplaced comma on your income tax and send you away for 30 years. But if that's not going to work, then they'll just kill you. You'll be killed coming out of a restaurant one night, and there's some lone gunman, and everybody will be there sobbing at your funeral. And but the real story is they whacked you because you shut your mouth off. You're talking too much. You know too much, and you're talking too much. So I'm saying that America is in very serious trouble because the people have not been told what's going on. They haven't been told how this world works. The world, I'll give you some freebies. It took me 48 years to learn this. Well, let me tell you some of the secrets that I've learned. One is that nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Nothing that you understand about this world works the way you think it does. It doesn't. Banks don't loan money. There are laws, federal laws, on the books today that say, very specifically, banks cannot loan money ever. That's the law. So what are you going to the bank to get a loan for when banks can't loan money? Logic alone would explain it to you. I'm not going to put $100,000 into a bank so that you can come in and borrow $100,000 for a new car on my money. No, thank you. You're not going to take my money to buy your car, and if you don't pay for it, I just lost $100,000. That's not the way it works. No, banks cannot loan money. So what happens is if you buy a new car, and say it's a $40,000 car, every car, every automobile, or anything, house, motorcycle, doesn't matter what it is, it must have an appraiser appraise that property or appraise that car. And so whatever that car is worth, say that car is worth $40,000, the appraiser said. So when you take that, so that paperwork is called commercial paper. And that commercial paper represents $40,000 of a business. You take that commercial paper, and when you say you want to buy this car, the car agency will take that paper and give it to the bank. The bank then takes that commercial paper, which represents $40,000, and opens up a bank account in your name. And it will forge your name. It will forge your signature, because you can't open a bank account unless the person opening it signs it. So they will forge your name on a bank account, but they don't tell you that. Then they take the $40,000 commercial paper and deposit it in the account, the new account that they just opened for you. Because if you have a ring worth $40,000 and you get it appraised for $40,000, you can walk into the bank and tell the bank president, I want to deposit this ring, and here's the paperwork on it. It's worth $40,000. I want to deposit that in my account. And they will take the ring, and they will then put $40,000 in your account. Now, you've got $40,000 in your account to do it, but they got your ring, and they know it's worth $40,000, so they're not worried. They just give you credit. Yeah, and so therefore, the bank never loaned you anything. They just took the commercial paper, put it into a bank account, and then they wrote a check on it, because after all, now you got $40,000 in the bank, so now they write a check on it and give it to you, and you give it to the car agency. So you've paid them. No, you didn't pay them anything. Nobody paid anybody anything. Let me explain something to you. Suppose you are a painter, and I hire you to paint my office, and you say that it will be $100, and I agree to that. After the job is over, as a contractor, the way commerce is operating, in commerce, you come to me and you give me a bill for $100. I look at it, I agree to this bill, so I owe you $100. So what you're doing is you're giving me $100, you're giving me a bill for $100. I reach in my pocket and I pull out a $100 bill, and I give you a $100 bill. So now I paid you. No, I gave you a bill for $100. It's called a $100 bill. And if the charge was $20, then you give me a bill for $20. I'll give you a $20 bill. So now you owe me $20. You owe me $100.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I didn't pay you nothing. I discharged the debt because I discharged it. I cut off the charge because now you owe me $100. I just gave you a bill for $100. It's called a $100 bill. And you think you got paid. No, it's a bill. You owe me. And since you owe me and I owe you, we're even. So that's why, that's why you don't own anything.
Is it true Queen owns our IRS?
Oh yeah. Well, your body, your very body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange. Did you know that? Each one of you is worth over $6.5 million on the New York Stock Exchange right now. Let me show you something. You got a $1 bill? Give me a $1 bill. I want to show you something. Thank you. On the Social Security card, back in 1868, after the Civil War, a group of men got together and formed a corporation. Well, anybody can form a corporation. Anybody. So this group of guys got together, and they formed a corporation in Delaware. It's a Delaware corporation. And they called the corporation the United States Corporation. And it was stipulated that anybody who would work for that corporation would be referred to as a citizen. So it's a United States corporation. And if you work for that corporation, you're a citizen. And so there today, when you walk in a bank or anywhere and they ask you, are you a U.S. citizen? You say yes. What you think they're asking you, are you lawfully in America to do business? They didn't ask you if you were lawfully in America. Like an attorney, listen to what they ask you. Because you're in court, be careful what you say before the judge when he says, are you a U.S. citizen? Because if you say yes, what you have said is that, yes, I am voluntarily, of my own volition, admitting that I am an employee of a foreign corporation called United States, which was incorporated as a Roman trust back in 1868 so that the United States is a privately owned company, like Ford Motor Company, General Motors. They're huge, they're big. Well, so is the U.S. government, but it's a privately owned corporation. And therefore, all corporations have to have a president. So they got a president. And corporate law says you have to have a vice president. So they got a vice president. And you also have to have a secretary-treasurer. That's corporate law. So they got a secretary-treasurer. It's a privately owned company, for God's sakes. It's like General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Sears, and the U.S. government. It's all corporate. It's a business. And consequently, your body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange because you're the security for what is referred to as the body social. That's why when you retire, you get Social Security because you are the security for the corporation. As long as you're doing your job and making money and paying them every year, you're good security. You know, you got money coming in. And so that's why you have to have a seat belt and the car, and you have to have insurance and a seat belt. Why? Because they love you and want to protect you? No, no, no. They own you. They own your body on the security on the New York Stock Exchange. So then, and so if you get in a wreck, now they got to pay you, for God's sakes. Then they got to take care of you. No, no, they want you to pay them, airhead, not them pay you. So they want you to protect yourself, and if you're going to be stupid and get in an accident, have insurance so the federal government will be paid for your stupidity of getting yourself in a wreck. So they get the insurance. So that's why you have to take care of yourself. I mean, once you understand how this works, well, anyway, this is a corporation. It's called United States Corporation. It's privately owned. So if you think for 1 minute, I'm going to go to Vietnam and fight for Ford Motor Company, you got another thing coming. No. For my country is a republic. Now, that's different. But there's a world of difference between United States of America and United States. United States is a privately owned company. It's a corporation. The republic is different. It's a whole different world. So you need to understand how those different words are used. There's a world of difference between a trial by jury and a jury trial. Doesn't mean the same thing. There's a world of difference between California State and the state of California. Doesn't mean the same thing at all. So there's a world of difference between a lawyer and an attorney. Doesn't mean the same thing at all. You need to understand words. Study the world of occult terms and knowledge that attorneys and lawyers know that you don't know. Again, this is a corporation. It was founded in 1868 called the United States Corporation, privately owned. And if you're a member of that corporation, like any corporation, you're naturally going to have an ID card. So if you're walking around the plant, they will be able to tell you to actually work for Ford, and here's your code numbers. And so this is your certificate number in the corporation. But on the back, you will see a set of numbers on the back. On mine, it's red. And normally, they're in red. Sometimes they're in black. Normally, the numbers on the back are in red. Why? It doesn't matter what color it is. It's what it represents. It's in red because it represents your blood. These numbers are your body on the New York Stock Exchange. So when you have a dollar bill, an American money, you will see there's a code numbers on the bill. See the code numbers on the bill? When you put your numbers on the back of your Social Security card with the numbers on the bill, they're identical. So that your body is worth $6.5 million on the stock exchange, and it is the security for America's money. Your body is a security for the body social. That's why when you retire, you get Social Security. No, you are the security for the body of the corporation. And they're using your body on the New York Stock Exchange, and that's why this government has never cared about all the illegals coming in from Mexico. And they don't care about that at all. Why? Because the more the merrier. The more people that they get Social Security numbers on, that's $6.5 million more they just got. And so if they get $150,000 a day times $6.5 million, every day the government's making money off of people coming in. They couldn't care less where you come in. They want documented workers so they can document you to get the credit through the international banking cartels out of London to pay them for you. because your body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange. So that's why there's never going to be any, there will never be any stopping of the illegal, because look at, if the corporation called United States is a company, it's a corporation, and if you are doing something and making money, then, and you are not paying them, they can put a lien on you. It's called a mechanic's lien. You know, if you have a painter and he paints your house and you don't pay him, he can put a mechanic's lien, meaning he goes to the bank and says, I'm putting a lien on this house because they owe me $6,000 and they won't pay me, which means you cannot do anything with that property until you pay him first. So if you want to sell the property first, but the first $6,000 goes to this man because he has a lien on you, because he did something for you and you didn't pay him. So therefore, if you are working in California, but you're not a U.S. citizen, you're not in the corporation, you become known as an alien, because they have now put a lien on you. You are now an alien. No, you're not an alien. They have put a lien on you. Words. It's magical, the way words are used. You go to court. Why do you go to court? You play tennis on a court. You play basketball on the court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. So, no, serious. You think that these lawyers dream up this stuff by chance? No, 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 no. These guys are smart. They're playing a game, and you just don't know the game they're playing. So you go into a court. The whole idea of a court is like I said, basketball court is a game. This team stands up and throws the ball back in the other guy's court. And that team of lawyers throws the ball back in this guy's court. And the judges comes out, he's a referee because he's wearing a black robe. Black robes represent the planet Saturn, the lord of money and banking and law. Saturn was the god of banking and law. And his priest of Saturn always wore black robes. That's why the Catholic Church wears a black robe. That's why the rabbis wear black robes. When you graduate from high school, you wear a black robe. The whole idea of the Saturnian is called Saturn. The god Saturn was Lord of the Rings. So women were told to listen to their god, so they would wear an earring, because Saturn is the Lord of the ring. And men were to get married before their god, so they wear a wedding ring. You need to understand there is a world of occultism, manipulation, exploitation of the human race with words and terms and symbols that you don't even know is happening right in front of you. So you've got a court. The whole idea in a court is a game to put the ball back in the other guy's court. And the judge is going to rule from the bench. The word bench is a Latin word for a bank. So he's ruling for the bank. Why? Because somebody's going to have to pay their debt to society. Somebody's going to pay. When the day is over, somebody's going to lose and they're going to pay. And the judge doesn't care because he's getting paid anyway, so he doesn't care. He's a referee. That's why he wears a black robe. And when the judge walks out, everyone rises. The same reason when a Catholic priest walks out, everyone rises, because the Catholic Church operates under the same maritime admiralty law as a court in America. That's why in Catholic churches you always see 3 steps going to the altar. Those are the first 3 steps of the first degrees of Freemasonry, first, second, and third degree. Once you're on the third, you get in the 3rd degree. Now you're going before the judge. It's the 3 degrees of Masonry. So then now you bring in the occult world of Freemasonry, all the secret societies of the Knights Templars, the world bankers, the religious orders. All of this stuff is connected thousands of years ago that you don't know anything about. And once you start seeing how in court the judge rules from the bench, which a bench is a Latin word for a bank. And where do you find banks if they're on both sides of a river? They're called river banks. What does a river bank do if it doesn't direct the flow of the current? See? Because your money is called currency. Because it's the cash flow, the liquid assets, the juice. And either you got it or you don't. Money goes through your hands like water. No, money is water. Maritime admiralty. Money, there are only 2 things on the earth. There's only 2 things on this globe. There's land and water. So we have 2 kinds of law. The ancient Romans set this up, and they said we only have 2 kinds of law. The law of the land and the law of water. The law of the land is the custom of the people who live on a particular piece of land. That's always different. So the law of the land is different everywhere. You can do things in Russia you can't do here. because the law of the land is different here. You can do things in South America you can't do in China because the law of the land is different. The people live on the land. So the law of the land is the law of the culture that lives on that piece of land. But the law of water, no, water is the same everywhere. The law of water is the law of money. It's called maritime admiralty, the law of money. So you can get a credit card in China and go to South Africa for vacation. It doesn't matter. We're just talking money now. And banks are banks all over the world. So we're just talking money. Either you got it or you don't. So it doesn't matter what color you are, what race. Do you have the money, the credit card? So when you understand that the money is the law of water, let me give you an example of commerce in water. When a ship pulls into a harbor, a ship is always female. Always a ship is female by law. Sailing ship, rocket ship, doesn't matter. If it's a ship, it's female. Why? Because she delivers the product. Okay? Without her, you don't have any product. So she is a term which is used for all ships. And so when the ship pulls into a harbor, it pulls in with, say, $800 million worth of Toyotas. Every one of those cars or televisions or whatever's coming in must have its own certificate of manifest, because yesterday the ship wasn't here. This morning they come to work and there's a ship here with $800 million worth of TVs. So it has manifested. So on the ship, she brought in $800 million worth of business. So she came in on water. Well, where the ship parks is at the dock. And where the ship sits is called its berth. She is sitting in her berth, right? And she is producing a maritime admiralty product because she came in on water. So therefore, each product has to have its own certificate of manifest because she is giving birth to a product. So therefore, when you were born, you came out of your mother's water. Her water broke. And by law, you are considered a maritime admiralty product. She delivered you in the delivery room. She delivered the product. And so you came out of water, you're a maritime admiralty product, so you have to have a birth certificate. And the birth certificate's got to be signed by the dock, because that's where the ship is sitting, at the dock. So once you understand the words and the terms, and if you're born dead, if you're stillborn, then they just lost a TV, because take a car off and it falls down. Yeah. And so you got to, if you on the car, on the television, whatever it is, how much does it weigh? What color is it? Does it have air conditioning? Is it 2-door or 4-door? Is it Mexican, or is it some other race of people? How much does it weigh? Does he have both eyes? Yeah. Does he have 5 fingers? Yes. And how much does he weigh? What color is he? Those are all the vital signs for a maritime admiralty product. Because for God's sake, they're going to sell you. They want to know, does this kid have 2 feet or what? Because if he doesn't, I got to have to pay for it. So you are a maritime admiralty product. And therefore, you are being bought and sold around the world today. And if you could get your original birth certificate back, the original, not the certified copy, get the original one back, you will see on all birth certificates at the bottom, this is a security document, goes directly to the Department of Commerce. And from the Department of Commerce, they put that directly out into the stock market of New York City, and now people are buying and selling your body, and you don't even know it. You're worth $6.5 to $7 million right now, and you didn't even know it on the New York Stock Exchange. But this is the type of stuff that most people don't know anything about, and there's a reason why most people have never heard any of this, because it doesn't have anything to do with football. It's got nothing to do with silly-ass sports and basketball and all that other silly-ass stuff that kids love to play. That's what you've always given the kids, a ball. Tell the kids to go out and play ball. I don't care what ball, basketball, ping pong ball, football, golf ball. I don't care. Get the damn kid out of here and go play with a ball. Give the kid and he'll go out and play ball. That's why they have the President of the United States. He goes out and throws the first ball because Daddy's out playing ball with us. While all the kids are out there, all the schmucks are out there watching the ball game. And Daddy's out there with the senators and the congressmen. They're watching the ball game. I want to know what these freaks are doing at 2 o'clock in the morning that they haven't told us. I want to know about their boyfriends and all the money that's changing hands and all the shit that's really going on. That's where the name of the tune is. When you find out that these guys who are running the planet are playing us for a bunch of fools. Let them go out and play ball. And send some movie stars, send some of them chumps that we own, send them out there and let them be on TV so you can see on the basketball games, they'll always show Jack Nicholson and some big movie stars at the ball game. Because that keeps all the schmucks interested to go out with the movie stars to watch a ball game. Not me. I'm not going to any ball game. I'm going to an education at UCLA. I want to know who's running this country, how it works, who set up our government, who gave us our religions, where these religions come from. The whole idea of Christianity is nothing more than sun worship. I mean, the sun is our risen Savior. Of course the sun is your risen Savior. God's sun is our, you don't own the sun. Africa doesn't own the sun. So who owns the sun? Well, obviously God owns the sun. Well, then it's God's sun. And God's sun is the light of the world. Of course the sun's the light of the world. What the hell else lights the earth if it isn't the sun? So God's Son lights the world. He's the light of the world. He's our risen Savior. Of course it's your risen Savior. If it doesn't rise, you're dead in 6 weeks. So wait till it don't come up. And you'll see it is your Savior. And the sun, the Egyptians said the sun gives off energy. And energy is life. That's why you have the life of a battery. When the battery goes dead, there's no energy. So the Egyptians said the sun is pure energy. And it's giving its energy so that we might live. So God's Son is giving his life that you might live. Of course the Son's giving its life. It's giving its energy so that you can grow and the plants can grow. And once you begin to understand religion, where it comes from, the whole story of Jesus is nothing more than a metaphor. There was no Jesus, there was no Abraham, no Isaac, no Jacob. There was no Moses, no King Solomon. None of those people in the Bible ever lived. These are metaphors for something far deeper that the ancient writers were trying to tell you in a metaphor. There's a symbolic story. And if you don't get the symbolism, you will go for your whole life in trouble because you didn't know how to read the symbols. You don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. You drive down through Los Angeles and see all the spray painting on walls. You think it's a bunch of kids destroying property. No, no, no. Those symbols mean something. And if you don't know what they mean, you better stay out of the territory because they're telling you. If you come in here with a different particular race, that symbols mean we're going to kill you. And so if you're going on a bicycle ride in China, you better learn the Chinese symbols because you're going to get killed if you don't know how to read the symbols. And that's what most people don't know anything about how this world really, in fact, works. But once you figure out how the courts work, education works, education is nothing more than a 12-step program. Let me give you an example. In the ancient Egyptian religion, one of the many different religions in Egypt, the ancient Egyptian religion of Horus. Horus was the sun in its rising. He was a god, God the sun. And Horus was spelled H-O-R-U-S. And Horus walked across the sky in 12 steps. It was a 12-step program. That's why alcoholics have a 12-step program. You have a 12-step program. You go to the first grade to the 12. It's a 12-step program. Graduate, which is 2 words, gradually indoctrinate. You put them together, it becomes graduate. So for the 12-step program, they have finally taught you what to kiss and when, and how to get and how to get a job, and who to bow down to, and all that. So they've taught you now, and now you can go out and get a job. It's the 12-step program, 1st to the 12th grade. What is that based on? Horus. Horus was our god, the sun god in Egypt, and he walked across the sky in 12 steps. Horus is the first step, Horus is the second step, Horus is the third step. When he got in the Horus of the 6th step, he was directly overhead. He was then called Horus, the Most High God, because you don't get any higher than noon. So it's called high noon, because he's the Most High. Why? Well, because after 1 o'clock, the sucker's going down. So he was the Most High at 12 noon. And so Horus walks across his 12 steps. So we say the same thing today. Same thing. We have 12 Horuses. But instead of H-O-R-U-S, we make it H-O-U-R-S. Becomes hours, changing the U and the R. Now it becomes 12 hours. No, it's 12 Horuses. And Horus represents light. The sun represents light. Light in Latin is Lucius. Lucius, when personified as a god, becomes Luke. And this is why you have Luke Skywalker. And he walks across the sky and meets his evil brother, Darth Vader, or in the Egyptian religion, Set. He was the god of darkness. The prince of darkness was Set. Why? Because it got dark at sunset. So the whole idea is that it's the whole world that we live in is based on Egypt, Mesopotamia, ancient Greece, ancient Rome. All of the stuff that we live in this world is based on ancient religions and cults and secret societies and Masonic orders, and the people of this world have no idea in the world what's going on. I've spent 48 years studying occultism, mysticism, words, terms, legal terms, government, international banking, theology, religions. I'm telling you, there's a world of knowledge you have never been told. That's been right there for you, but it just never occurred to anyone to sit down for 48 years and study this stuff in the dark. I mean, I have a high respect for all religions, for all belief systems, but I'm telling you, it needs to be based on wisdom and knowledge. Let me give you an example in the Old Testament. In Arabia, looking east, there's a huge mountain range in Arabia, very high mountain ranges in Arabia, in the middle of Arabia. And so the Arabian people on this side, looking east, every night the moon would come out of the mountain. The moon would rise in the east, and it comes up behind the mountains. So the ancient Arabians, talking about thousands of years ago, they believed the moon was a god. It was a moon god. And obviously he lived in a mountain. That's obvious because every night he comes up from the mountain. So he lived in a mountain, and his name, the name of the moon god in Arabia, was Sin, S-I-N, Sin. And a mountain in the ancient Arabic, a very ancient language, was Ai. It's translated Ai. Ai is a mountain in the ancient language. So the god Sin lived in his mountain Ai. You put them together, it becomes Sinai. No, there was no Sinai. There's a god Sin in the mountain called Ai. Airhead, wake up. It's just the worship of the moon god. This is why the Jews have their celebration after sundown, because that's when the moon god comes out. They're not going to have their holy days in the daytime. That's when the Christians are worshiping the sun. But God said, you don't want to have your holy days when they're worshiping the sun on Sunday. With the Christians who worship in the sun, the Jews are worshiping the moon. So we wait till after sundown. Then we have our holy days. It's because of the moon god comes out, and it's in Sinai. And, you know, and God, I could go on for hours explaining where these concepts and ideas have come from. That's why if you go to Israel and you go to a synagogue, it's not spelled S-Y-N, it's spelled S-I-N, synagogue. Because Sin is the god of the moon, Agog, which is we get from that, the Gog and Magog, or Gog. Synagogue is the house of the worship of the god Sin, Synagogue. S-I-N, not S-Y-N. So I'm just... Huh?
I'd love to see you do a big, long, all-day seminar.
Oh, yeah, I could sit and talk for days on this stuff.
Days, several days. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I could sit and talk for days on this subject of religion, theology, where all of these things have come from. A lot of people ask me, you know, well, where did you get this document or that document? Where can we read about this or that? Well, what I've done is I have downloaded. Give me that DVD. What I've done is I have, thank you, I have downloaded all my files in one computer. I got about 3 or 4 of them, but in one computer I have all my text documents, PDFs and all that. So what I've done is I've just downloaded all of my documents from my computer into a DVD. It's like, I don't know, 5,080 different items, 161 different subjects, 3.4 gigs of documents on religion, government, courts, just the crap of the world, everything. Everything is going on. It's all here. There's all the documents are all here, and you find out where all this stuff really comes from, and the worship of Saturn. And Saturn was in the old Phoenician language. In the ancient area where we call Israel and Lebanon today was called Phoenicia. And in the old Phoenician world, they were worshipers of the planet Saturn. So when the Hicks tells people that we call Hebrews today, incidentally, the word Hebrew is a derogatory term. It's like calling a Mexican a wetback. It's not a very nice term. And so calling someone a Hebrew is not, it's a derogatory term. And incidentally, the Jewish yarmulke, it's not Jewish at all. That's Roman. That's why the Holy Father wears the yarmulke. The cardinals wear the yarmulke. Rome was here before Jews. And so under the Roman Empire, the Jews were ordered to show respect for the Holy Father, or we're going to cut your head off. So you show respect for the Holy Father. You are under the Holy Father. So you show respect by wearing the yarmulke. So today we got Jews running around with yarmulkes thinking it's Jewish. Not Jewish. It's Roman. The entire system of religion is Roman. The white man's world has dominated the earth with religion. And the Jews think that they are a monotheistic religion. No, not monotheistic, henotheistic. Christians think that they've got a corner on the truth, and they don't realize it's just worshiping the sun. Let me give you an example. We got a couple of moments. Let me give you an example. I want to try and understand what I'm saying here. All of the religious concepts and ideas in Christianity and Judaism come from the northern hemisphere. We don't have anything in our Christianity or Judaism that comes from the Aztecs or the Mayas or the Aborigines of Australia. All of our concepts and ideas come from the northern hemisphere. Very good reason, because the whole thing of religion in Judaism and Christianity is astrology. It's based on the stars. That's what God is. Ask any kid where God is. He's out there. That's right, in the stars. That's what the Christianity and Judaism is based on, the stars. And so, on the first day of summer, the very first day of summer, the sun is as high in the northern hemisphere as it's going to go. It's not going any further north than the first day of summer. Each day after the first day of summer, it begins to move 1 degree southward every day. It's so slight you'll never notice it. But 90 degrees later, or 90 days later, which is 3 months later, it's halfway down. So when he was high in the northern hemisphere, he started summer. And summer begins in the constellation of Leo. He was the Lion King. Like Disney's Lion King, the Lion King is the sun in the constellation of Leo that begins summer. The Lion King. The Lion of the tribe of Judah. It's Leo, the constellation of Leo in summer. The sun is hot, so he's the Lion King. Leo, the constellation. Now, 90 degrees later, 90 days later, he is falling. So now it's called fall. Yeah, because he was really hot. Now he's falling. So he's not that hot anymore. So now we call it fall because he's falling. What is the symbol for fall if it isn't Scorpio, the backbiter? And this is why in the old ancient world, when a scorpion bites you, they have 2 stingers, one on top of the other, and when they hit you, it looks like 2 lips. And then so the ancient people said, you just got the kiss of death. He just kissed you off. Because you just got bit by a scorpion, and that's the kiss of death. That's why the mafia gives you a kiss of death. That's where it comes from. So Scorpio is the backbiter. He's the one that goes behind your back and rats on you, and he's the backbiter and causes you to die. And that's what Judas was, the backbiter, Scorpio, because Scorpio begins fall. So Jesus, who was the Son of God, the God's Son, the light of the world, he was the Lion King in summer, but now he is falling. And so